Guys and gals, welcome back to another Far Cry 6 video. Today we're gonna talk about Amigos, your trusty pets, companions, and friends that will not just aid you in combat, but they will also give you very important, well, pointers, which is the point of this video too. We're gonna talk about the best and the worst Amigos in Far Cry 6. Not to say that any of these are useless, they definitely still are useful even in the end game, but it also depends on your playstyle and what you want them to do. Do you want them to do damage? Do you want to have a distraction? Do you want them to have utility? It depends on you, but I will go over strengths and weaknesses for each of these Amigos, and also the fact that the more you unlock new abilities for them, the more useful they become. And there's a really cool and fast method to unlock their abilities really fast, and that's gonna be done right here in the south of the Madrugada region. If you haven't done so already, there's a lot of enemy bases here and restricted areas filled with soldiers, and you can use your pets to train them against them, which will unlock their abilities eventually. Especially this point right here south of Castillo's tobacco factory that spawns a rather small group of enemies that can literally respawn instantly if you just teleport back to the same fast travel point or just walk away like 10 meters and then come back. In the meantime, we're gonna start with the dead last Amigo when it came to usefulness, at least for me personally, which unfortunately had to be Guapo. Yes, he is the tankiest of them all when it comes to like just mitigating damage. He has a self-revive that no other pet in the game has. He also has self-regeneration, and if you unlock his second and third passive abilities, he also has a really awesome damage mitigation if he drops below a certain percentage. But I found that despite me unlocking his abilities, he didn't seem to tank enemies that much more longer. Like even 2 or 3 enemies will be enough to completely destroy him in just a few seconds. But he is useful at distracting things, so if you want to use him as a means of distraction, he can definitely fit that role. The next one is going to be Chorizo, which is this cute little puppy that you can unlock also in the Madrugada region right here from a quest called Who's a Good Boy. You actually do this quite early in the game, and you just have to grab a bunch of alligator meat from a nearby river, bring it back to Chorizo, and this will unlock both some really cool items in there, but also the pet himself. Now Chorizo is the only non-combat pet currently in Far Cry 6, and instead of attacking targets, he's just going to distract them with his sweet little bark, which I guess is a good ability to have if you're sneaking in and out of an enemy base and don't want to be detected, or if you want to just take down enemies or make like groups of enemies split. Yes, he can definitely fit that role really well, but he does have an extra utility on top that kind of compensates for his lack of combat capabilities, which is the possibility to reveal all of like the materials that are in a location around him. So if you're not paying attention to those, I guess this ability is useful, but if you're like me who collects everything they set their eyes upon, this is probably not gonna help you too much. But moving on to number 3, let's talk about creatures that are definitely useful and wild and crazy, and there's none that's crazier than Chicharron, the really crazy rooster that you can get from a series of very short quests right here in the southern part of the El Este region. You actually have to do the mission called Man's Best Enemy. That's also one of the funniest series of quests in the game, and yeah, this pet is absolutely crazy. Like, he will not avoid a fight, let me tell you that. So he was actually a bit more useful than I thought, because he has this really crazy leap that he can use to ambush enemies, and this means pretty much almost instant death to most of the regular soldiers. He does have trouble with some of the armored enemies, and especially so his first ability doesn't seem to be something that would work that well for a rooster in this case. So he will double his damage with the Roid Rage ability, but only after dropping below 70% HP, which is kinda useless because that means he's literally one shotgun away from just being destroyed. Once you unlock his second and third ability, he's gonna become a little bit more useful, as he's gonna be able to like knock enemies on the ground and also dodge bullets a little bit easier, but this is a pet that just deals damage, and there's other pets in there that can do that too, maybe even better, and still survive for a lot longer. This Rooster right here is for crazy people. Now the next couple of pets are something that you're gonna probably struggle between because they could literally both fit on the #1 spot. It just depends a little bit on you, what you want most. Do you want a bit more utility or do you want a bit more damage? So the next one is going to be Boom Boom, which is literally the same dog from Far Cry 5, even like the model is pretty much the same, but you get it from a mission in Valley del Oro called Boom or Bust, and you can find it right here on this side of the map. When you're close to that facility, just listen the barks because they will point you towards this kind of like outside area with the train tracks, and there's also kind of like this cargo box that if you open it up, it's gonna finally give you access to Boom Boom, and as soon as you do that, it's going to unlock as your very pet. So yes, this is a very short quest to do. Now there's two very big points and advantages that Boom Boom has. The first one is the fact that he can totally ambush targets, as in he will jump at their throats either from behind or from the front, and he will instantly kill them, or at least most of them. I've noticed that this works even if enemies see him coming from very far away, so I'm not exactly sure how that mechanic is in play, but he is definitely very useful in the damage department. What he's even more useful at is to pinpoint targets, especially with his first and second abilities. You can send him in an enemy base, he will not attract any enemy attention because he's just a regular old dog, but he will bark out and mark locations of enemies on your HUD so you can see them without having to scan anybody or change your position. He's very useful at that, and also because he has the damage compartment, he's pretty much going to be an amazing all-arounder that you're probably going to want to use all the way in the end game. And he's also very cute. He's a dog, a puppy, so you're definitely going to want to take him with you. But this, ladies and gents, brings us to literally the best damage dealing amigo in Far Cry 6, which you also get at the end of a pretty lengthy series of quests that will bring you to Triada Blessings quest in the Starting Island in the game. I've talked about this in the previous video, so definitely check the steps out in that one, but essentially you have to bring these 3 dolls after some treasure hunts to this cave, and this will reward you some of the best items in the game, but will also give you access to Oluzo, a Black Panther sort of kind of creature, but he's really amazing at a number of things. First of all, he can pounce, which means he instantly takes down targets. Second of all, as soon as he does that, enemy bodies will completely disappear, which means nobody else will be alerted unless they literally see him in action. And there's other abilities that will make him even more successful at stealth kills with his first ability, and the second and the third one will make him pretty much, immune to damage. The second ability will make him like cause enemies to flee in fear if they see him pouncing on somebody else, and the final one will make him completely immune to damage if he drops below 50% HP. So all around amazing one to have. You don't have to worry too much about Oluzo. He's just a killing machine that survives for a very long time as long as you unlock all of his 3 passives. Now on top of these pets, there's 2 more amigos, but these are only acquired through paying the DLC, specifically the DLC called Blood Dragon and the other one called Vice Pack, I believe, that will give you access to K900 and Champagne. I pre-ordered my version, so I got both of them anyway, but otherwise these are pretty useful, I'm not gonna lie. They would be placed around the 3rd/2nd spot compared to Boom Boom and of course Oluzo, but let's just go over K900 first. He has a very unique ability, which is to be completely immune to poison, the only amigo in the game that's immune to that, so he's very useful against some of those poison using enemies that are quite annoying in the game. They will completely disable normal pets, but against K900 they won't do anything. He also comes with some other cool mechanics in there that will make him even explode with the 3rd ability, and also like make it super easy to notice security cameras, tripwires, alarms and turrets, but I mean you already pay attention to those anyways. And the final one is going to be Champagne. This is a little bit more useful than K900, specifically because she is also a really high damage dealer. So just like in the case of Oluzo, she's amazing at pouncing and kind of like ambushing targets, but she has a higher damage the more money you actually have in the bank. So yeah, maybe keep some money on the side to increase that damage. And she's also useful at retrieving money from dead enemy bodies, though personally I haven't seen that mechanic working for some odd reason. But this is it with all of the Amigos. Totally let me know down below in the comments which one is your favorite and why. In the meantime, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe and activate that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.